All right, we are live again, and here we go. All right, you're out of my way. Hopefully, you can see what I'm doing. Don't care. What I care about is getting this here motor scooter put back together enough to give a ride because we've got a few nice days of weather coming up, and we need the front tire to be changed, and we need the rear tire to be bolted back on. Oh yeah, Turner's T, best. We need the rear tire bolted back onto her. And, belt's got to get adjusted. So, yeah, we got all kinds of plans for this bike and what we wanted to do. And we're going to do the swing arm style chopper. But here's the deal, man. Got like a week patch of warm weather, 1 week coming up here. And I really want to ride this thing around and get the carburetor tuned in. So rather than installing the drop shocks and getting prepared to do the extended forks, we're just going to hopefully get her buttoned up today with new shoes on her feet, everything adjusted up. We're going to check these brake pads, maybe flush the brake system today if we got time. If not, tomorrow. And get her to where I can just jump on the old girl and give her a rip around, get the carburetor adjusted, and we will go from there. Okay, which means that when it comes time to actually install the drop shocks, I'm probably going to have to drop the rear wheel again, which, hey, that's going to suck. But, at the end of the day, I really just want to ride this thing. So we're going to get her in position so we can do that. I did want to remove this sissy bar, but we are going to change this fender out. So we're going to have time to do that at a later date. And, so let's go on ahead and get started, get the rear wheel mounted up. And I will school you guys on how to adjust a belt on a Harley Davidson when we get to that point. Side overnight, we still got air in it. Yep. Let's grab the air gauge and check right quick. As you know, if you're following this, we had a fight, a battle royale getting that tire mounted up on this old girl. And mounting the tire was not the problem per se. About 37 pounds is where I want it. Didn't lose really any air overnight. Yeah, we had a battle royale with that. A battle which I won. It sucked. It was a pain in the ass. Seating the bead was a fight, an absolute fight. Getting the old tire off the rim was an absolute fight, but we got it. And we got an air cap. We're going to put this on. I don't think it came from this bike. I don't care, but you need an air cap, so we're putting that on. Okay. You guys see what I'm doing pretty good from where you're at? I hope so. Maybe I can move you in a little closer back here. I got to leave enough room for me to work. I'd like for you guys to see what I'm doing, but I really need room to work. Yeah, see, I'm going to cover most everything if I leave you there. Let's put you right about here. Alrighty. Axle. We will worry about the belt adjustment tool when we come to it. Before I get into this, here's my thinking as far as that goes, okay? When we come to the point where we are going to do the extended forks and drop the rear end, at that point, this bike is going to become very difficult to get on and off of my lift. In stock configuration, to get it on and off the lift that I use, I got to take the front exhaust off, the front cylinder. If I do those drop shocks on it right now, I ain't going to be able to get this back on the lift unless I actually roll the bike up onto a block of wood and then slide the lift under. At that point, I'm going to need a block of wood under the kickstand. It's going to be a total and complete pain in the ass. And we still got a bit to go. It may have to go back up on the lift to do certain things. I know when we change the fender out, I would much rather have it on the lift while I do that. So just to save myself work, I'm kind of doing double work by probably dropping the rear wheel. But the idea is to have her dialed in so that when I change the shocks in the front end, hopefully she won't have to go up on the lift again for quite some time, because it's going to be a process unless I get a new lift by then, which there's a few factors involved in me doing that, as well as really soon here, beginning of April, we're going to put the big white electric light up, and we're going to go through the spring maintenance on that and make sure she's ready to go for the spring season. So kind of just want to get this bike rideable for now. And we'll worry about all the cool chopper stuff later. Let's get the Shinko tire sticker removed now. Now this is possibly going to be a bugger to get this in position. Hopefully I do not have to raise the bike up on the lift to fit this in. I think I can just sneak it like this. Make life a whole lot easier if I can. Number 2, we are done with the penetrating oil, so we can use cardboard under here. Easier to slide things around. Kind of wanted the lift to be up a little higher to do this, but it is what it is. There we go, a little more like that. Okay. All right. Work the belt over. Get the tire past the pizza cutter. Those of you who don't know, or pie cutter, it's kind of like a slang term by Harley Davidson brake mount. If I remember correctly, I had to sneak this belt. Some kind of goofy to get it over like this. There we go. That's a start. And that started where I wanted. And I cut her out the way. Okay. Let's hit north. Can I get the belt snuck on where she's at? How much further forward can I go? This is sometimes a pain in the ass. What is hitting? Okay, we got the belt snuck on. That's a good start. Can I get the axle started? Probably not. Okay, let's let you hang there for a moment. Hanging by the belt. Don't like that, but it's not the end of the world. What's the deal over here? It's hanging you up a bit out of the way. Pie cutter's way up in the way. It's got to come back. This. But she's all kind of buttoned up. Well, if I can get the axle started, that should fall in place now. I mentioned this when I done it. You take these apart, you got a series of spacers, okay? Right over here, coming through the axle side, there was a spacer first. These little doodabbers are what's going to hold your wheel bearings in place. So what you do is, as you take the axle out, you stack them in the order that they got to go in. Okay, now if you're like me and you only have so much time to work on something, you want to put it back together in a manner that it's going to be you want to take it apart and set the pieces in a manner that's going to make it easier for you the next day to remember how it went. If I have unlimited time in my shop here, I just throw these pieces to the side. But since I had to go do something and then come back to this, here's what we did. We stacked the spacers in the order in which they needed to go onto the axle. So, grab our tray of nuts and bolts. Okay, so we got spacer, axle goes through, washer, axle nut. And let me get a shop rag and a little solvent. I want to clean this stuff up a little bit. PB Blaster. I know that brake clean can is almost empty. We got starting fluid. I don't want that. Somewhere in this not the mess here, we have a can of carburetor clear, which makes a good solvent. What for to clean this up? Where did I put the carburetor cleaner solvent? Lordy, I don't know. All right, well, we got plan B. What we got here? Carburetor intake cleaner. This stuff works damn near as good as brake clean. There's no oil in it. That's a nice solvent. Does the job well. Clean these pieces up a little bit before we get to reinstalling things. A little bit out on the rag. I mean, you can tell by the wear marks on this which side goes into the rim. Camera's way over there, so if you guys are doing any kind of chatting in the comments, I can't tell what you're saying, and be honest with you, I'm focused on what I'm doing. When we get to the next step in what we're doing here, I'll take a look, see at your comments and respond to them and such. Okay. Let's have these cleaned. Okay, this side goes up into the wheel. This is your spacer. All right, let the fight begin. Drop this into the rim where it needs to go. And I'm just going to set the axle like that. It can be very, very tricky to get these spacers lined up in there properly. I am not going to lie to you. Sometimes this is quite a difficult task. Can I get that held up in place long enough to get that thing? There we go. Okay, that started. That'll kind of half-ass hold the wheel where I need it to be. Come out of this side. I'll make sure the brakes are gonna, see, that's got to come way back to get in place, because this piece here that I'm calling the pie slicer has a hole in it, and the axle has to go through that. So let's get our spacer. And you know what, let's make her life just a tickle easier. It's going to want to fall out, and you're going to fight with it. So this will help just a little bit to keep that from happening. I'll take a little fresh grease and just kind of going to glop it around there like that. A little inside there too, it won't hurt. Help the axle slide through better. Okay, and a little bit of tacky grease sometimes will help you by making this whole thing sticky, and sometimes that little bit of sticky will keep it in place while you are fighting with it. Because there is a little rubber seal, but I may need like a hand here to cut pliers. That might help. Something that kind of, because I can't quite fit my fingers in there to get that where it needs to be. There we go. Come on, you devil. I need like a flat blade. Nope, I got it. Okay. So like I said, that just that little bit of grease. There's a rubber seal that bushing goes through, and that little bit of grease kind of makes it just a little bit tacky and kind of holds it in place. Like, imagine if you took like this rag and put a huge dollop of grease and just went, see, that'll fall, but if there's a bunch of tacky grease, it'll stick there. That's all we're trying to attempt there. The belt is in position. The wheel is sitting clocked like this because the axle is not through. What I gotta do is kind of wiggle that through. You might have to get something for some persuasion. Okay, how many folks are gonna watch? Yeah, dude, it is a bugger to do by myself. But it's how I've done it all my life. These here are like indispensable. These little rubber dead blow mallets. Like I'm due for a new one. I've had this a few years. But I use these so much. You can get something to move without damaging it, and it's nice. Nice thing to have. So as you're driving your axle through, you're going to get your wheel to straighten up. But I don't want to drive it all the way through because I do have to get this pizza slicer, pie cutter, whatever, brake mount into position. And that can sometimes really be a fight. She's bound up and doesn't want to do what she's supposed to do. And the brakes are folded over where they need to be. I don't have a Torx big enough down here to get this caliper off. That sucks. Yeah, that was my next move, was buying a set of large Torx sockets. I have Torx wrenches, but you booger these up and you're never going to get them back out. So that is a later on today trip. Actually, that was one of the things we had planned on picking up for the shop, was a good set of these. I don't use them often, these star keys. So I don't really have a good set, but I do not want to fight. Stripped out ones, so that may be something we're going to work on later on today. This would be so much easier if I could pull the caliper off of here, but I know what I have isn't very high quality, and I do not want to risk stripping that and having a battle royale with it to get it where I need it. So we'll see if we can't maybe sneak this in. Now, it looks like we are going to have a battle royale regardless. Get that shoved over. Yeah, looks like we're going to have that battle. Damn it, I didn't want to have to deal with that today, but I think we're going to have to take a trip to either the local hardware store or my local Harbor Freights, because I really want to take this caliper off, and I do not trust the star keys that I have. And I hate like how to shut down when I've got to this point, but let's be honest, I don't have the wrench. I don't have a quality wrench in the shop to remove that caliper, and this whole job will be easier with this caliper off, because then I can line the caliper mount, the pie cutter, and get that lined up, get the wheel bolted in, and then reinstall the caliper. And being as this is locked onto the frame, you can just loosen these and pop that right off to the side. Oh yeah, with the brakes. Let me slide in betwixt them. I'm going to keep monkeying with this a little, and maybe I can get it. But I'm going to be honest with you, I think we're going to require a hardware store trip to finish this. Yep, that's what we are going to have to do. Well, maybe not. We got it started. Come on, baby. Come on now. Don't fight with me. You'll lose, god dang it. Straight screwdriver of sorts, preferably a big stout one. There we go. You can wield it. There you go, you devil. All right, cool. I can get this mounted up and then go to the hardware store later after I'm done working and pick up some good star key bits. Probably just going to get them at Harbor Freight. I get a lot of my tools there, but like I said, I rarely deal with these. I knew I was going to need them because the front forks on this bike are held on with those star keys as well. And the other Sportster I'm dealing with, I'm fixing for a customer. One of the reasons it was brought to me is somebody put a clutch in it, and they did it in a really big hurry. And dude, they kind of foobarred a whole bunch of screws to the point where it literally took me like 4 hours just to get the primary cover off because things were so bunged up and hammered up. And I'm one of these guys that I'm good at dealing with screws that don't want to come apart and things of that nature. I'm really good with that kind of stuff, and it doesn't mean it's freaking fun or something that I want to do. So when it comes to my personal bike, I do everything in my power to not round bolts, strip screws, etc. That way, when it comes time to redoing something, taking something back apart, etc., I am not fighting nearly as hard to do so. All right, I'm going to have to block the camera for you guys so that I can get this in position enough to get the axle through. Okay. That, and we'll give her a little tap-a-roo. Tap-a-roo. What are we holding up on? That ding sound ain't good. Need to hit this up. Oh, that's just because of the tiny bit of crookedness here. We could probably, there we go. Tap-a-roo, bitch. You're in place. Beautiful thing. Like I said, the difference between working on metric bikes and Harleys. A lot of your metric bikes, well, nowadays there's so many of them that are freaking shaft drive, but the Japanese have kind of smartened up a little bit and they've gone to belt drive. Me personally, shaft drive is great. I used to think belt wasn't until I owned a belt drive bike, which was a metric bike, by the way. There's pretty much zero maintenance with the belt. You do have to check the tension from time to time. And as long as you ain't driving through sand or off-road, I personally have found belt drive to be every bit as reliable as shaft drive, and you have better handling characteristics of the motorcycle, especially on the older shaft drives. The older shaft drive bikes tend to jack a little bit when you're hard on the gas. But anyways, what I was getting at is a lot of the metric bikes that I've dealt with, your axle here, the threads go to the very end. And it's kind of a little scary hammering your axle through, etc. Or getting your axle started, tapping it to go through the other way because your threads are right there. So generally what I do in that situation, I'll take your axle nut and just start it a little bit. The cool thing that Harley Davidson did here, we back cut that. And the threads are all the way back here. So you can tap this through with a hammer and, this isn't going to bung up threads. This is why I love these. You can get something to move without damaging things. But this is back cut, so the threads are out of the way. So right on. Cool. I mean, to be honest with you, most of my Harleys, I need a tire changed. I ride the damn thing to a shop here, man. You do it. This whole scenario here where I'm changing tires by hand, I'm doing this strictly for YouTube, guys. Just to show you guys that Yeah, you can do this. You don't have to pay someone. Now, if you have watched me fight and struggle with this, you might still want to pay somebody. You know what I'm saying? You might. But this is something like it's still crappy out. We're gonna have some nice weather, but right now it's still a little too crappy to ride a bike. Plus, like this is gonna be a beater bike. I don't care if I ride it in a little bit of salt on the road, but my Ultra Classic, my Super Glide. For one, my Super Glide's 31 years old and it looks like it's brand new with 14,000 miles. I will not take it out when there's salt on the road. Sorry. The Ultra, you know, it's nice, but there's too much chrome. We're just not taking that out in the salt. This old Sportster, even though it's only got 3,900 miles and it's a 97, it's a Sportster. I'll take it out and ride it in the salt. That's one of the reasons why I wanted this. Didn't spend a lot of money on it. And not spending a lot of money on it, modifying it and doing everything old school. So that I don't really care if it gets dirty. Like when the paint is done, it's going to be flat black rattle can. Not so much. Number one, I like that look, the old rat rod look of the 50s. But number two, when a bike gets dirty, I can hit it with simple green, spray it off with my pressure washer, and it's going to look just as good as new. Instead of the 3 to 4 hours of detail and polish that I put into my other two Harleys. And that's the idea behind this bike. Just to ride around, get down bike to enjoy life with. Okay, here's where we're at with this. We got to adjust this belt. It's obviously too loose. We had to loosen it up to slide the wheel out of the way and get the belt off, okay? So before you adjust the belt, you got to have a little bit of tightness on this, okay? Maybe 30 pounds or so. Otherwise, what you're going to do is get your tension correct on your belt. You're not going to slide the whole, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? It's a little easier if you have a little tension on your axle nut. What we're going to do is, you know, I'm going to use this one to hold with over here. If I remember correctly, while a nice and tight fitting adjustable wrench, this is a high quality crescent wrench. That one fits nice and tight. This guy here fits nice and tight and it's a little wider. If I'm going to put a lot of pressure, I want this one, because that other one sometimes will bind on you. Interesting side note story. This particular crescent wrench came from a place that is no longer in existence, a coal-fired power plant that I was working at, operating a vacuum truck. Those of you who know me know that, you know, I'm a truck driver inside of a steel mill. I move stuff around with a truck, basically. It's the easiest description of my job. That's probably just enough tension to do what we need it to do. All right. And when I started out, I operated a giant vacuum cleaner on wheels, basically. That's how I got my CDL. I started out as a laborer and moved my way up into being a driver. And that's back in the days when you didn't have to go to truck driving school. You just showed up and some old guy with a gray beard got in the truck with you and taught you how to drive. And you got the CDL. Well, those days are gone, sadly. Okay, we're just going to get this close because we're going to adjust the tension on the belt with the bike on the jiffy stand. Well, that's what the Harley manual calls it, the kickstand. Okay. But what we're going to do, and just to get it to that point, I do want this wheel straight. So I'm going to take my axle adjusters, and you can do this any way you want. I'm going to do it a little bit of an easier way since I have one of these. Okay. If you're an aspiring motorcycle mechanic, as you know, this is not my business. Well, it is my business. I make a little money doing this, but this is not my day job, you know. This is a hobby. So set of these right here. You can get them from Harbor Freight. You can order them from Amazon. You don't have to get the most expensive. I would recommend not necessarily getting the cheapest. I like the old school gear-driven ones like this. You're never going to have to change a battery. They're always going to work. Okay, you have to keep them clean. You do not want to blow this out with air. You do not want to put solvents in it. If you feel them getting sticky, you know, or skippy because inside there's some dirt, what you can do, get you a little silly putty. I don't know if they still have it in the candy machines in front of grocery stores, but, you know, not necessarily Play-Doh, but like kids' silly putty. Okay, you open them up and you kind of mash the silly putty, pull it out, knead it, mash it, pull it out, and that will pull the dirt, grit, debris, and dust right out of here. It won't leave anything behind. If you put oil in here, it's going to attract dirt, grit, dust, and that's going to foobar your calipers. Anyways, enough with that. Get this side just snug, and I'll show you what we're going to do with those in just a moment. This is another instance where I just had in my hand a set of ratcheting wrenches that I was going to purchase, but I decided to buy a small air compressor instead to do these tires with. And I really wish I would have bought those too, but me, I'm freaking cheap, you know. All right, so what you do here is you go like this on this side of this. See how that comes out, you know. Go against the nut. Now you know this is, yep, you can feel that's tight and that's not moving. So you go against the nut with the pin that sticks out, and the flat here, you're going to put that at the end of your adjusting screw. Let's see where we're at. By the way, some bikes have notches that you can use to line it up. This is a foolproof way. We are at 6/100,000ths of an inch. In other words, just a shade over half, not quite 5/8. Let's see where we're at over here. $530,000ths of an inch. So that eyeball that I just did while I was talking to you, that was pretty damn close, wasn't it? It was within 1/16 of an inch. Crank this side down a little more. Kind of just feeling the belt tension with my fingers to see where I'm at. That's way too loose still. Let's go just a tickle more. Double check, see where we're at. 605. Where are we at over here? $580. And a couple more turns over here. Let's see where we're at. $6.25. Let's go to let's go to 650 on both of them. Check the belt tension. Just by hand. 650, 660, good enough. Good enough for who it's for. Where are we at? Double check this side. See where we're at. $720, which means that moved a little too far. What we're going to do is put a little more tension if I turn it the right way, it would be all right. A little more tension on this. It'll make life a little easier. Keep things from moving more than they need to move. Damn it. Put them down on that. $640. $670. Couple more turns. You can also count the threads individually, but as you can see, I'm in my mid 40s and my peepers ain't what they used to be. You know what I'm saying, guys and gals? And it's real easy to lose count of where you're at in that event too. I'll be damned, 670 and 675. Now we know that axle, left and right, it's straight in there. But we still have way too much slop on the belt. Actually, maybe not. We're going to have to put our tool on there and check that, because that honestly feels pretty good. It really does. That might just take us home to where we need to be. But we will deal with that when we set this bike on the ground. And we'll do our final adjustment there. Because, where is it? I know I got it laying about here. I just looked at it yesterday. What we're going to use on that is a belt tension tool. This goes to show you how long it's been since I've used it. Like I said, I normally just ride the bike up to a shop and waste about $80 to $100 and say, here, man, do my shit for me. And we're not in the mood to do that since it's so crappy and cold out. We're fixing things ourselves, changing tires ourselves. What I've got is a belt tensioning tool. Did I leave it up in here? I did. Okay. On a Harley Davidson, I actually wrote down a cheat sheet. Just how long it's been since I've done this. What do we got? 3/8 to 9/16 deflection at 10 pounds. So what you do here is, you see right there, hopefully it's coming in good. That's marked at 10. All right, so as you push up on this, that tells you where 10 pounds is. So come over here and I'll show you something else. Let's get you down low where you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, if you see right here, there's little notches. Each one of those notches is, I believe, a 16th. Okay. So when you go like this with your belt tension tool, put your 10 pounds, you can see where it was and where it lands. And that's how you're going to know if you've got the correct tension. You also want to try to reach in here and twist. You don't want to be able to get more than 45 degrees of twist. And honestly, just by eye, I'm going to measure it to be correct, but just by eye, this belt is where it needs to be as far as tension. That's pretty good, which is, I got pretty lucky on that. I do have to tweak those a little, and we're going to have to tweak the adjustment as well as tighten up the axle nut and put the cotter pin through. But the main focus of today that I really want to get done is we are going to fight and scream and yell and get real mad and break stuff, because we're going to pull the front wheel off and we're going to change that tire by hand the freaking hard way. What do we got here? That part I dealt with tightening and loosening up the belt. Do you know how to make that alignment straight if you accidentally turned the drive belt adjustment? Well, yeah, bro. I just kind of showed you that, so I'm sorry. I don't read these comments as I do it. How are you doing with the belt on the other side? Okay. All right, so let's get this front wheel pulled. Like I said, we got to fine tune and adjust that belt better, you know, but I think she's pretty good. I mean, I'm eyeballing it, and dang it if it doesn't look pretty straight to me. I think we're golden on that, but we're going to use our belt tensioning tool, which, by the way, you can get those on Amazon. I bought that thing like, good Lord. I bought that thing when I bought my first M. Believe it or not, I've been riding motorcycles on the street since 1996, in the dirt since 1991. And I want to say 2019, 2020, I bought my first Harley, and it was a Sportster like this. I had owned probably 30 different bikes. Never owned a belt drive bike till I owned that Sportster. First thing I did was buy that belt tension adjustment tool, just so I had one. So I've had that for, Jesus criminy, do the math, 7 years now, and this will be the first time I've actually used it. All right, so let's see what all tools we need for up here. I know another thing we're going to do, we're going to try to strap these bars or strap this front end down some kind of way so it stays still and doesn't get all wonky on me. There should be a pinch bolt on this side. Yeah, of course, it's an Allen key. We can move that though. All right, pinch bolt will be an Allen key, crescent wrench, and we're going to need a big screwdriver to get this apart. Pull the front wheel. It's not unlike a metric bike. Same setup. Pinch bolt, you know, axle nut. And obviously the Super Glide, the front end this is a Sportster front end, pretty much. That's what it is. The same thing as a Sportster. And underneath on the Electric Glide, you'll see the same. Let's get you over here. And put this wrench back where it goes because I don't need it. I got the screwdriver right here. That'll be handy. This toolbox is relatively new to me. My buddy actually fixed an ATV for his son, and he refused to let me refuse to take payment. How's that for you? I was like, no, dude, I don't want your money. Fixing this for your kid. It's his Christmas present. So since I refused payment, he had gotten a new roller box for Christmas, so he gifted me that one, which is really cool because I now can organize my tools a little better. I had a lot of stuff jumbled up and put in tubs and stuff. All right, where was I? We need a big old Allen key socket for that. Nope, that's the metric drawer dummy. Okay. It's this guy right here. Betcha. Yep. Okay, and we need something to kind of kind of want to strap this down some type of way, or at least kind of keep it from flopping around on me. Do I have any more? No, I think these are the only two straps like that I have down here. I have that other one, but I kind of want to use it. Going to need it to do the bead on the tire. And the Bouger cord, the French one, Bouger. Yeah, I don't have one handy. You know what? We're just going to work without it. We'll survive. It'll be okay. Creates ratchet. Get our quality crescent wrench. Piece of cardboard, because we're going to throw, I should have done this last night, but before we even attempt to fool this, we're going to throw a little juicy on her. Excuse me. Ooh. Man, I'm running really low on this stuff. I'm going to have to pick some up. I think later on we're going to pick up new star keys, and while we're out and about, I have like 1/8 of a can of this and 1/4 of a can. Oh, shoot, there's a pinch knot on the back of that. All right. That's fine. We'll deal with that. What do I deal with it? I use this stuff super sparingly, as you can see. You don't need much. Little drop like that goes a very long way. Honestly, own both of those cans now for probably 2 years, to be honest with you. That looks to be about a 9/16. And it is. So we need that screwdriver over here. And you see, I put the cardboard down to kind of catch the penetrating oil. The floor in this garage is kind of nice, and I kind of want to try to keep it that way as long as I possibly can, you know. Those of you who are new to the channel will know that prior to this, if you watch my older videos, you'll see me working in a tiny little one-car garage with a dirt floor, no heat, none of that. So this garage is like a super luxury for me, and I'm trying to keep it as nice as, Jesus, Lord, Mary and Joseph, that did not need to be that tight, guys. No way. It's a freaking pinch bolt, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. There's no need for that. None. That needed to be, I have to check the manual, but off the top of my head, that needed to be no more than 50 pounds with a little bit of blue Loctite. And that right there, that was about 80, 90 pounds. I just don't grunt and go crazy when I do stuff. I just do it. That's a little excessive. What do we got here? Well, we got a little juicy bougie on here. Road grit and such. Make sure we get a good tight fit on here. Stupid little side note. I watch a lot of people use adjustable wrenches like this wrong. This way here, this would be for tightening. To loosen, this way. And I know sometimes it makes it at a funky angle, but when you're loosening something, you want the jaw down here to be the pressure against it here. This isn't going to move, okay? This has, as you see, a little wiggle. So when you're loosening, this can slide up over, all right? But when you adjust it this way and you're going to loosen something, you adjust out all your slop, and this little wiggle won't matter because you're going to push on the wiggle side instead of pulling on the wiggle side. It's best I can explain it, but trust me, you'll see. And honestly, that's probably 3/4, and I think I do actually have a 3/4 wrench, but this should not be that tight, but we'll see. Which honestly, as I state early in this series, booger. I have to try to get it from this way, so I don't want to pull the bike over. Yeah, okay, see, that wasn't overdone. Good. I honestly believe these are the original tires to the bike. The date code on that rear tire, according to the date codes and from the look of these tires, are probably what, 97, probably 30. I don't know, 30 minus 29 years old, probably. I mean, the bike has no miles on it, so I wholeheartedly believe that this could very well be the factory tires, and they're Harley Davidson branded Dunlop Elites. Very well could be the tires that this bike rolled out of Milwaukee with, which is kind of cool and kind of not. I mean, and they hang them on the wall. I don't know. Garbage men will take a motorcycle tire usually. Worst case scenario, you take your sawzall and cut it in half, but they'll usually take it. I know when I was a trash man, I did. You're not supposed to take tires, but bike tires don't. The reason you're not supposed to put them in a landfill is what they do when you bury them, and motorcycle tires generally don't do that in the landfill. So, but it might be cool to have these, just hanging from the rafter and I don't know. I have no plans on selling this machine. That's right. It's a goddamn Sportster. I think you got to take the fender off to get the front wheel out. Yeah, you do. You bastard. I forgot about that. Harley in their infinite wisdom. These mounts here, you can't see it on camera, but yep, you're not going to get that tire out unless you remove the front fender. Damn it, I totally forgot about that one. All right. Which side was which? This side went in here. All right, so let's just pop the axle back through. Pretty blue grease. Pop the axle back up through. Of course, that came out of the brake housing. Temporarily back up through here so you can come on, just a little more, you double. There we go. Just temporarily so we can get these the hell off of here, which I'm sure they haven't moved in forever either. Yeah, yay. But yeah, fender got to come off. I forgot all about it. These screws here and the nuts are, the tire's fat here and then goes in. Well, these stick out further and the tire is wide. So sorry, folks. I work on a million different types of bikes all the time. Harley is not the only in town. 9/16. We need smaller than that. We get a half. Are they a half? Are they a half? Yeah, they're a half. Okay. And we'll need an Allen key. Hex key, whatever you want to call it, key. Try this guy here. See if he fits. He does. Okay. Where is my ratchet? My ratchet. Where'd I put my ratchet? Over here. That's where I put my ratchet. Oh yeah, we should probably put just a tickle of juice on that, huh? Just a tickle. It's not like it matters at this point, to be honest with you. She's coming apart whether it's been juiced or not, but tickle of juice will make life easier. And reach it from this side. Okay. We'll tickle on that one. Tickle on that one. And reach this one. A little bit on that one. All right, now we're gonna fight with this and bust our knuckles and scream at it. You know, call it everything but a quality piece of machinery, because that's what we do. You know, man, I don't like that. About these Pittsburgh wrenches, while they feel good in my hand, I don't know if I like them. They're kind of a sloppy fit. And I have a shit ton of miscellaneous wrenches. Okay. I decided to buy a dedicated set of standard SAE because I'm doing more Harley stuff now. But you watched through my videos. I mainly did a lot of metric stuff in the past. So metric was the name of the game for me. Well, I figured, all right, well, rather than dig through the miscellaneous pile, let's buy a brand new set of SAE wrenches. Look at that. Lock tight. Somebody's been, yeah, unless that's from the factory like that, that's lock tight. Anyways, so I just picked up, you know, at Harbor Freight's a set of Pittsburgh, you know, box and open end wrenches just so I could, you know, here we go. Here's a brand new set. I can lay them all in order. They all look the same. It looks nice. Da 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 da. And I don't know if I'm too happy with them. I mean, they're working for what I need them to work for. It's just, I feel like the fitment on some of the nuts and bolts feels a little too sloppy for me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just used to working with metric tools. I just feel like the fitment's a little bit sloppy on these. So I don't like them. Like, for real, they're probably just going to get tossed to the side. I'll buy a better set, like an Icon set or something. Or, you know, dig through my pile. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't like these. They feel good in the hand. I like the older Craftsman wrenches. They're tough, but they have that stupid raised hump on them, okay? And if you're wrenching on something like this, you see how you got your angle? You turn it so forward and you flip the wrench in your hand and you get a little further. See what I'm saying? That's why that's designed like that. Okay, so when you have that hump or you have an uncomfortable wrench and you do stuff like that, it tears your hands up in time if you do a lot of wrenching. That's why Snap-on and higher quality tools are a little smoother like that. I mean, this Pittsburgh looks like a clone of it, but like I said, I just don't like, I feel like they're a little sloppy in their tolerances. Like they're doing the job. I just feel like that's a little too much wiggle for me. I'd like to see something that fits a little tighter. And I know some of my older Craftsman wrenches from the 90s and 80s and, you know, Snap-on wrenches and shit. The set that I got pretty much is all flea market stuff and yard sale stuff that I found on job sites and people have left behind. I feel like they're just a little better fitment than these dedicated wrenches that I bought. So these might go, you know, I'll buy a really high quality set here, I think, since I'm doing more Harley Davidson work. And naturally, that's all SAE. I'll probably go and buy a really good quality set of wrenches, and I think these will just get thrown in like an emergency kit bag or something, like a road bag, something that's you're almost never going to need, but it's nice to have it. You don't necessarily have to have good stuff, but something, you know, or say you're out with your buddies riding and somebody has an issue and he needs a tool. Well, you got it. And you're here, bud. I'll see you at the next stop, etc. You know, an application like that, I feel like they'd be good for. Or, you know, just doing stuff around your house, but or honestly working on a newer bike, right? Because if you haven't noticed, the shit that I work on is usually about 30 years old or more. So some of the bolts ain't been out in 20, 30 years. Some of them are already rounded because some jackwagon doesn't know how to use his tools. So it kind of would behoove me to, all right, fender removed. Okay. Well, guys, you think it's cool to run with no front fender, right? It looks cool, right? especially if you get the extended forks, or like most of y'all dum-dums are doing, buying them extensions that go in here and bolt in. Don't do that, okay? Maybe the 2-inch, but any more than that, it's not safe. Don't do that. It's important to have the front fender, if not the front fender, a fender brace. This isn't very much, okay? You can kind of squeeze this, but this way, it's pretty thick. And you will be surprised at how much this internal piece stiffens your whole front end. So if you want to run fenderless, do yourself a favor, spend the money and buy a brace for that, or make one. Get you an old fender like this, drill out the rivets, and use this. You could do it that way. But I can tell you from experience, and like I said, when I was a teenager, I had that Honda CB750 that I hardtailed and put a 6-over front on. And I made a fender brace I made a fork brace from an old fender like that. Because without it, just moving the bike around in the backyard and in the basement where I built it, you could feel the rubberiness in that front end moving and tweaking. Everything was clamped down, everything was right, but you could feel how wonky it was just moving it around the yard. I put that brace on and fixed everything. I never actually got to ride that bike. That's a story for another time. And if you know me and you've been following the channel, then you know that story. All right, same thing as we did on the rear axle. We're going to put our spacers over here in the order of which they came off so that we can keep them correct. And you can tell by the way that it is which way it goes in. Okay. And we're going to take a lock washer and our nut. Just in case this tire fights me enough that I say, screw it, I ain't doing this. All our pieces are where they need to be for reassembly. And it'll make your life easier. Once we pull this tire out of the way. Another thing we're going to do to make our life easier upon reassembly, which I'm 99% sure we're going to reassemble this today, but just in case we don't, make our life easier so we don't lose bolts. We're going to take these guys, we're going to thread them back through the forks and just start them. I know, seems stupid, right? You're going to have to take them back out to put it all back together. But here's the deal. If you do this, you're not going to lose them. Maybe your buddy comes over to jaw jack with you while you're doing this and he kicks it. Now it's over there. It's lost. It's in what I call the gone forever pile because it's gone forever. 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 If you do something like this, it's not going to ever meet the gone forever pile because it's going to be where it needs to be. And you can just glance at it and know where every screw and bolt went. Anytime you're going to take something apart and it's going to be apart for a little while you do work or live your life, it behooves you to take this extra step right there like that and make your life that much easier. All right, ladies and germs, come on over here with me. Come on now. Get you on over here and let's watch us fight with a tire. First things first, this area is obliterated, so we've got to clean this up a little. I get about 3 hours of recording. I'm going to try to do the whole day live here, so I have a second phone. Hope the Wi-Fi that it's on charge now, so if this cuts out, if you're watching the whole thing, you really want to learn. Most people don't, but if you really want to learn, you're going to watch the whole thing. If it blips out, bear with me. You'll see me live again in just a few seconds. Same here. I have a spare microphone too. It's charged. I don't know if this extra step is necessary because this is wood, but I put this down to keep from dinging up my rotors yesterday and dinging up my pulley. I don't think it's necessary, but there we are. And we are valve core tool. Much, much lighter than that big old heavy rear rim and tire. Yep. Well, let's see here. Let me see. Oh no, this tool will fit. Yeah, let's see. Can I set you guys on a crapper? Yeah, you're not going to be too safe if I put you on a crapper, are you? Nobody who's Confucius say, man, who stand on toilet high on pot. What about over here, like this? There you go. Now you can kind of see pretty good what I'm doing, huh? There you go. Right on. That's a little better. All right, so there we go. Valve core tool, which you probably can't see from that angle. It just barely fits in here to do the job. I do have various different ones. And once again, this is all just cheap. You know, I don't buy the most expensive shit to do this. We are not trying to pretend that we are Mr. Paul Tuttle, Mr. Arlen Ness. You know, we are Big Kev, the guy that really likes to work on old motorcycles. So I need what we need to do this. Smoking's bad for you, right? You know, this is bad for you. Watching these videos without liking and subscribing. Y'all watching my shit, do me a favor. Smash that subscribe button. This valve core pulled out. Go up close here to ceiling. So get into focus. Anyways, this is still usable. Was my whole point of doing that. Plenty usable. Set it off to the side. Now, this is going to be annoying to some of you because the sound, but I have my garage set at 55 degrees when I'm working in it. When I'm not in it, I turn it down to like 45 so that my gas bill at the house isn't ridiculous, because this shop is basically the garage that's not attached to my house, and my electric, plumbing, and gas comes from the house. So it's one bill. So this tire is cold to the touch. We need to change that. You want this bead to break, you want this tire to come off the rim, it's got to be warm. So got yourself a little heat blow gun, whatever you want to call it. Go to town. Take your time. It's going to take a minute. So bear with me. Warm to the touch. I guarantee it didn't warm it all the way through, but it's not cold to the touch. To start, flip it over, do the other side. This side's still cold to the touch. And we're warm to the touch. What's this side feel like? It's not quite warm to the touch on the other. We're gonna do it. We'll do it probably twice on both sides. The warmer this tire is, the easier it's going to be to work with. Like you can already feel it's getting cold to the touch here. We're warming up the outside of the rubber, but the inside of this is still cold. Ideally, if you can, like this would be great on a hot summer day to just sit out on a blacktop driveway and let it sit in the sun for a few hours. But it's 37 degrees outside, so this is what we're doing. That's the least room temperature. we're gonna go with that and try it first. JCCIDC, what's up? How you doing, buddy? All right, let's go time. This part sucks, okay? This does. This is going to work a little easier with the front tire because the jaws of the vise are going to be closer to the rim. I had one hell of a time breaking the bead on the rear, but you see how close those jaws are? That's going to be to our advantage. We also do not want to hit the rim with the vise, so let's go over here and check. Yeah, we have maybe just enough clearance. So we're going to go ahead and just clamp the vise down like such, ensuring that the jaw does not touch the rim on either side, and as tight as we can, and break the bead. They make a bead breaking. I do not have one. I have an old vise. So this is how I do this, and it sucks. If you're going to change a lot of tires, I suggest you buy a bead breaking tool. And I've about got the bead broke down on the bottom. Let's get as tight as we can. Piece of cardboard down on the floor here to catch any drips. Shoot a little juice in it. This is silicone spray PB blaster. It works pretty good dealing with tires. And we play WWE wrestler. Did you hear that thump? That's the bead breaking. You hear that? We broke one side. Okay, good. Yes, we have got the non-rim side broken. I'll loosen the vise back up. Loosen it some more. Spin her over to about here. Clamp it back down. Once again, ensuring that we are not touching the rim with the vise jaws. Crank it down like such, just enough to hold it. And we play WWE wrestler again. There we go. Now, see, this one is going much easier than the rear tire was yesterday. Much, much easier. There we go. I think we're just about fully dislodged. Okay. I'm going to go all the way around it just to ensure that I am going to have an easier time when it comes time to prying this sucker loose. Yeah. Okay, we're fully, bead is fully broken. A dirt bike or something, smaller tire, easier. But because the rear tire on that bike, look at, where the rim is, the top of the jaw here. So hopefully y'all can you see? Okay, the vise jaws were hitting like right here, just maybe a half inch above the rim. Now on the rear tire, it was hitting here like 2 inches. That's what made it so hard to break the bead and why I had to fight so hard yesterday. Today, that went much smoother. I think I am going to do this rotor side down. That'll hold the rim up just a little bit more and give me a little more leverage with my tools. Okay, let's get you guys back up here in front of the crapper. Very refreshing to see content that's not putting on makeup or reading tarot cards. I dig it. Yeah, no. Definitely, like, look, I'm ugly. They don't make enough makeup to make me pretty. You know what I'm saying? Beat up old biker that works on motorcycles. You watch my content, that's what you're going to see. You'll see some riding videos here soon. Where I live, it's way too cold for that kind of stuff right now. So we, every winter, I usually like to try to take in a old bike every winter and try to kind of bring it back to life. And this winter, well, it happened to be a Harley Davidson Sportster. Belonged to a good buddy of mine, and he needed some money and he wanted to sell the bike. And he needed the carburetor rebuilt because it sat for a long time. I rebuilt the carb, found out it had some other problems. I made him an offer. He took it. It's now mine. You get these warmed up as much as possible. The warmer it is, the easier it is to get back off. Let's do something else. Let's grab a couple C-clamps. I feel like we kind of missed out on that yesterday. The other tire was so fat that the C-clamps I had would not fit the top of them. And this will be a little bit easier if I can pinch the tire down with a C-clamp. Whereas I think we have a chance with these guys. Okay. I do. I think we're gonna have a better time if we do that. So, let's go here. Okay, can you see what's happening? When I get this off, you'll understand why I'm doing this. Okay, I kind of want these mashed together because inside that tire is a trough like that on the rim. Okay, well, obviously the outside of that trough is bigger. The inside is smaller. So if I could smash the tire down to get it to ride in that trough, that'll push it up over here and make it that much easier to lever it right off. So on the backhand side of it, before we attempt to get the lever in, we're going to take and put a couple of C-clamps like this, just enough to kind of get that down below that ridge. And when I get this thing blown wide open, you'll see the importance of doing this. That's probably enough there. All right. Now look, there's a couple different tools. This is a tire iron. This is a tire spoon. A guy that changes a lot more dirt bike tires than me, named RJ, my buddy there from work, he highly recommended these. I bought them. They were good for him. I had better results with these. I just, the bend on them, and there's a little tick right there to, when you go to lever it on to kind of hold it against the rim. I had better results with these yesterday. Anyways, get in there. Get it behind the tire like that. Well, the other thing too, heavy amount of lube before I even get started. And this, like I said, is a silicone-based lubricant. You can use soapy dishwater. You can squirt just straight up soap, but this stuff here will work just great for you. We use a tire spoon anyway, ain't we? We'll use it to hold that while we get our... See, where is our rubber whammer hammer? That'll help. That'll help the situation. Get this one slid out, maybe. Get another bite back here with it. That was a knuckle. Damn it. That didn't feel good, fellas. Okay, now that we got this started, we can remove these guys. I don't think we're going to need them. It should work its way pretty loose. Okay. I don't want to take too big of a bite, but you need a big enough bite to... Now, you see that V in there? Okay. We got that V set like such. I could just about, that'll be a He-Man effort that we're not going to do. Let's get our tire iron. Can we get it? No, we don't want that direction. We want a little more something. That. A spoon might do better for this. There we go. I got it started. Slip another iron in here. No, don't want to hit yourself with the tire iron. That's a little close for comfort. I think we need a little more looby-dooby on this guy. I think we do. Let's get a little more luber in her. And I bungied up the rim a little more than I wanted to on that, but you'll have that. scratched the devil out of this rim. I'm gonna have to fix that up a little bit with some sandpaper. All right, regroup. Stop and regroup here for a second. Let's heat her up a little more. It may help a little. I'm telling you, once you get them started, you can just about He-Man them off of here with your fingers. Just about. Like I said, if this was not a 30-year-old tire, if this was a newer tire, it'd been right up off here already. But it is what it is. We're doing what we're doing. And this is just how you got to do it. Sometimes you have to fight. Pardon me. Come on, baby. She's wanting to go. All right. Fight, isn't it? Kind of see what RJ was saying about these tire spoons. They're a bit thinner, and for certain applications, as I'm doing this, I can more easily slide them under the tire to get a second bite. So it kind of makes sense why he said he preferred these guys over your standard tire irons. I see where he's getting at. At the same time, it's not really helping me too much. There we go. Ah, there. One old tire removed. All right. Let's see what we got here. Now, you see, I got that little dish down inside there. Okay. You want to get one side of the tire in that dish like that. And that pops the other side close to up and over. But as you see the black goop on here, that's little remnants of tire that have been on there since Jesus left Chicago. So we're going to take a little bit of emery paper, a little bit of lube, and we're going to do just like we did yesterday and just go around it and kind of clean that up. Same with the bead surface. I think that might have been one of the reasons why I had such a hard time seating the bead yesterday. The cleaner and smoother this bead surface is, the easier for the tire to kind of slip over it, you know. So let's see if this makes a difference. Yesterday I just concentrated on cleaning up this surface here and not the bead. Today we're going to work on that surface as well. And I don't know how much metalworking you've done in your life, but I can tell you that if you're going to try to sand, this is like a aluminum and magnesium sort of, they call them mag rims, but there is aluminum in it. When you're going to try to sand something like that, you need it to be a little bit greasy, like kerosene or B40. Even this is a silicone-based PD blaster, but even this will help, and it'll keep your sandpaper from clogging up. You'll get a much better result. I guess while I'm doing it, I can fold this over and work on this side of the rim that we scratched up. We're going to do this to both sides. And we're going to be redundant. We're going to clean it and then lube it up again. And then we'll get our new tire warmed up and ready to install. My hands are starting to wear out. This is hard work, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not prepared to put some effort into doing this by hand, then don't. You know, take it to someone like me or a shop. Shops are charging up to $100, and some of them are kind of being jerks about it. You don't buy your rims from them, they're not going to put them on for you. And that's just how they're rolling nowadays. There's one shop in my area that will do it, but as I had mentioned, I'm not using an expensive name brand tire on this bike. I'm using a Shinko. Well, Shinko is a name brand, but I'm using a Shinko, and it's a pretty good budget-based tire. But it's not like a Dunlop or a Pirelli or a Metzler. Shinko tire is going to ultimately wear out faster on you. It is, okay? But the bike I'm putting it on, it's not a big power monster bike. Okay? Not going to be doing burnouts. Not going to be road racing. I'm going to be riding it around the city and just enjoying it for what it is. And eventually we're going to turn it into a swing arm chopper. But either way, what needed to happen was I needed tires. The date codes on those tires said they were from like 1997, 96, something like that. I don't remember. And I'm not digging through to look. They were not safe. The rear was severely dry rotted. The front, didn't really see any dry rot cracks, but it was just as old. And they were hard as rocks. You don't want to use that. It's not safe. Don't bother. Don't use it. Don't, just put some tires. So we got what we got, which was Shinko's. The price of 2 Shinko Model 712 tires delivered to my door was less expensive than 1 Dunlop D404. And if you know your tires, that is not the Dunlop Elite. That is a biased ply, cheaper Dunlop tire. Okay, I've run that on a lot of bikes. I like the D404. But I can tell you, on a heavy bike, a D404 is going to last you, especially if you ride hard or ride 2-up. You know, lots of burp on the gas. A D404 is going to burn up in like no time. We're talking, I don't want to say an exact number because everybody's going to have their own opinion on that, but I can tell you I killed a Dunlop D404 and in 1 season. I mean, you know, like an oil change and a half, and I was ready for a tire. So, you know, if I can get 1 season out of 2 tires, well, I'll definitely get more than 1 out of the front. Front tires don't generally wear, especially on a cruiser style bike. They don't seem to wear out as quickly as a rear. So if I can get 1 season out of these tires, I'll be more than happy. And we don't really plan on selling this bike. This bike is basically going to be like a test bed for my YouTube channel. We're going to test some products, and one of the products we're testing are Shinko tires. Well, I have data in my brain from Shinkos that I've run in the past, and you know, they did very well on a Honda Shadow, and they did okay on a Honda VTX 1300 as well. I've never used them on a Harley Davidson, simply because I always felt like I was above that. You know, no, I'm putting a good tire on my Harley. I care about my hog. Nah, bullshit. Let's see. We did put some scratches in here. Let's try to polish them out a little. Make them look a little better. There we go. Scratches just about disappeared. Let's hit this with a little bit of medium Scotch-Brite. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to be a little more careful when we reinstall the new rim. All right. All right. Let's get some of this off my hands real quick here. Hey, what's up, David Peters? Very low mileage, sporty, and I might be able to get reasonably to mess with her. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not reading y'all's comments because I'm working. So, yeah. Look, when you're worried about mileage with a Sportster, okay, I'm gonna throw a round number out there because everybody's opinion varies, but I'm gonna tell you this. We're talking about a not an Ironhead, of course. We're talking about an Evolution Series Sportster, 1986 to, let's just say, you know, the one I'm working with right now, 86 to 2003, the soft mounted frame Sportsters. Okay, mileage on them. If you're under 30, 40,000, don't worry about the engine, just ride it. You get up over 40,000, then you're going to want to think about things like maybe replacing the lifter blocks, and if you're going to get in there, the cams, there's 4 of them. And I should take my time and polish this whole rim. There's some pitting in other spots just from age, and man, don't that look nice now? That looks really nice, actually. So anyways, if you do want to mess with a Sportster, you know, look for one those years, especially if you want to like modify it. There seems to be a little more, as far as the chopper scene goes, a little more stuff available in those years. And I can tell you this, if you're going to go with the earliest one, the 1986, that is an 1100cc Sportster. That's the oddball, okay? That's the one that's out in left field. 1993 and up, they used a 5-speed transmission. You will be more easily to find things like a cheaper forward control set for a 5-speed Sportster than you will for a 4-speed. The final drive ratio is a little higher, or excuse me, it's not really any higher on the 5-speed. So people like, you know, the guy I worked with, that I could not make him understand. See, he didn't have a lot of bikes in his life. And in 1983, he's an older gentleman. In 1983, he bought a brand new Harley, the only time he's ever owned a brand new bike, and it was a FXR wide glide. We would call it a Dyna wide glide, but it was the FXWG. And it was the last year for the shovelhead engine, which was the best year for the shovelhead engine, actually. And it had a 5-speed. And when he bought his Sportster later on in life, he bought it from actually a local guy, was a local mechanic like me, that he's got his own shop now, and he deals with Harley only, and he deals with people with lots of money to pay him what he wants to do what he does. He builds them bikes, custom engine work. He's not a guy like me who's out here doing what I do. Anyways, he bought a bike off of him that had a Screaming Eagle 1200 Stage 2. Didn't have cams, but it had the heavier top end pipes. I think it's running an S&S car, but it's a 4-speed. And he tried to go out there on a highway and roll with our buddies that ride stuff like my electric glide. And it's not that he couldn't keep up, it's just the bike screamed. Sportsters were never designed to tear down the highway at 90 miles an hour. Will they do it? Yeah, but you're going to be at the top end of the RPM range. And he just kept thinking that if he bought a newer 5-speed that he would be, no, buddy, it's not going to do that. Now, an 883 is geared lower from the factory. So if you put a 1200 kit on an 883, you're really going to feel it around town. She's going to want to lift the front end. And that's why I bought this 883. But anyways, these are great around town bikes. Let's get this tire heated up. I guess while I'm doing this, I might as well take the compressor on. That way it'll air up. It makes a lot of noise while I'm doing that. There we go. It's actually brand new. I literally bought that compressor Friday night. If you watch my channel, you'll see I really don't use air tools. You really don't need air tools to work on. You don't really need impact guns. You'll see people use them. There is one job on a Harley Davidson you absolutely need an impact gun for, and I have an electric one for that. Not battery powered, it's a plug-in. But I think it's got like, honestly, I want to say it puts out like 1,000 pounds of torque. It's way overkill for what you do, but so I didn't need a big compressor. I bought a 6-gallon pancake compressor because it fits nicely on my bench. And I will be able to use it for a gun and airing up tires and stuff. And it is, honestly, it's barely enough compressor to seat a bead on one of these tires. You kind of need more. But once it's aired up, being as it's brand new, it holds pressure. So rather than listen to that thing scream, hold pressure now. Hey, ideally, you want to heat this thing up until the inside of your shop starts to smell like a tire shop. You know what I mean? You ever walk into like NTB or wherever like that, you smell them stinking tires? You want this thing to smell like that. The warmer it is, the easier it is going to be to stretch over this rim. If it is a nice warm summer day, lay this down in your driveway in the sun for a couple hours before you even attempt this. If not, you know, do what I'm doing and stand here for 10 minutes with a glorified hair dryer, also known as a hot air gun. See how I can squeeze that easier now? Heating this up makes the rubber much more pliable and much, much easier to stretch onto the rim. See that? That's what we want to see. How you can just grab it like that and manipulate it. It'd be so much easier if this is warm. Okay. Well, let's get some looby dooby on here with the silicone based lubricant. And like I said, you don't have to use this. You can use just, you know, some dish soap and water. You don't want to use something like regular PB Blast or WD-40, etc. That's not really good for the rubber. Okay. We're going to take and kind of get started by something like this, just by hand. Some folks, like my buddy Joe, recommended, you know, laying this on the floor. My back is shot, so if I try to hunch over like that, it's going to hurt really bad tomorrow, and I don't want to hurt really bad tomorrow. Tire iron here. Come on, baby. Get on over. Okay. I'm gonna spin this whole works this way so I have more room to work. Grab another tire iron. Make sure we're in the groove here. Tire spoon. I see where he's coming from with these. They're much thinner, and it's kind of a little easier to sneak them past. Can't work them in. Can I get this to go under here? There we go. One side's on. Oh, crap. Did I get the rotation right? See, I'm jaw-jacking to you guys. I may have boogered up the rotation. All right. Brakes on this side, meaning the tire is going to rotate that direction. Did I get the rotation right? Did I? Which way is 0? Rotation this way. Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I totally guessed right. Right on. See what happens? I get to talking to you guys, and I almost screwed myself there. Yeah, there's an arrow on the rotation, which way it has to go. You will also notice somewhere on this tire should be a red dot. If I can find it. Okay, it's over here. See that red dot right there? We're going to orient the valve stem with that red dot, and that's going to keep your balance where you need it to be. Okay. Let's get that down in the groove where it needs to be, like that. Over here. Oh. Down in the groove. A little lube on this. Smash that in a little. Reach in with our tire tool, flop it over. Catch another bite maybe here. Can we catch a bite here? That's a big bite. Flop it over. And using the elbow and the forearm to hold both down while we reach in and take another bite and flop it over. And we're going to kind of tuck that into our armpit while we get this side loose. Reach in, take another bite, flop it over. Okay, well, at this point, we're going to make our life a little bit easier by taking our clamper damper, C-clamp, and we're going to put a C-clamp right here and just hold gentle pressure with it like that. And then that frees up this hand to, instead of trying to do this with 3 hands, take another bite, flop it over. Loosen the clamp. Slider hole works up over here. Kind of get our clamp started. Where is our 3rd tire iron? Jumbled in this mix. Here it is. See how that's bent out for the tire? This is the side you put it on with. And this little tick here is going to hold it against the rim when you do that. Don't take a giant bite. Don't get greedy. Flop it over. That C-clamp did us pretty much nothing, and that's okay. Get this moved this way so we can keep our face away from this while we're doing it. Now, what's happening here, this is riding up on the bead. We kind of don't want that. We want it to ride down inside the bead. So before we go any further, let's take our C-clamp and go right here on the opposite side. Okay, we're going to mash this down with the C-clamp. Like this, okay? There, that's just going to help me hold it well. We slide this down this way and take another bite. Okay, we got that where we want it. those two where we want them. Keep pushing down like this, okay? You need that to be down, this to be down and in the center. So my elbow. Remove this. Another bite. Small body over here. Work that over. And that just popped off. And you look, I didn't tell you this was going to be easy. I told you you could do it. And well, you can. And we are there. It just popped down off the bead there. That'll give you more room to work. Get you another bite. Just a small one. Okay, you gotta hold this. Flop that over. Really trying not to scratch my rim, but almost. There we go. And our new tire is mounted. Like I said, folks, I didn't say it would be easy. I said it is doable with hand tools. Okay. Now, the really fun part, seating the bead. You watched me struggle yesterday, you know, if you're a returning person. So you watched me struggle with this yesterday. We might struggle today. I don't know. But what I'm going to do, what's the good side? I do want to leave the rotor side down. What I'm going to do here, move some tools out of my way because we're not going to need tire tools and C-clamps anymore at this point. So let's get them out of the way. Set them over here. We might need the heat gun still. And I still kind of want to do this rotor side down. So let's give her a flip. Yeah. All right. Now, what I did yesterday was to wrap around this a ratchet strap. Before I do that, I'm going to take some silicone lube and just go around this one more time with the silicone lube and kind of push the bead down so that it gets in there. Okay. I'll do it on both sides. Not so much over here. This is already up on the bead, but as you can see, hopefully the camera's showing over here, this is not on the bead. And the reason we're lubing that is that tire needs to slide up over that bead kind of like this. So you put the lube and it kind of helps that. It also helps that we took a little bit of extra time with some sandpaper. Now we see that over here the bead's just about seated. So I'm going to want my clamp end of my ratchet strap to be right here because this is where it's going to leak. So you can see from here to here where it's kind of down in. I'm going to try to split that and put the ratchet end of the ratchet strap here so it pushes really hard here. And I hopefully will not do this, 800 times like I did yesterday. But we shall freaking see. This is not the best ratchet strap for this. You kind of want something a little more heavy duty, but this is the one that I have, so this is the one I will use. Kind of center it like that. Sort of hold it in place with your belly. Try to get it as close to the center as you can of the tire. And you're going to want it as straight as you can possibly get it. Hook it together like that. Pull out your slack. Get it down over the center a little more so that it pulls evenly. Okay. And we will just give it a few cranks here. Kind of got to make this about as tight as you possibly can. I'm not going to lie, this part of the job kind of sucks. Trying to seat the bead, this was the hardest part for me. And I appreciate your suggestions, and a lot of folks are telling me, shoot some ether in it. Yeah, no, I'm personally, I'm not doing that. If you've ever seen that go wrong, and I have seen that go wrong, you will understand why I will not do that on a motorcycle tire inside my garage when it's right up here in my teeth. Okay, on a big truck tire, like a Mack truck tire, I've done that trick a million times and it works. That's a Mack truck tire. Okay, that's not going to make can blow up in my face, but that's something I can also lay on the ground over there outside, put some ether in it. You know, take a stick, spray some ether on the stick, and use that to light it where I have a few, like 10 feet away, and boom, if it explodes, I'm okay. I'm not doing this right here up in my teeth where I'm going to, you know, potentially end up going to the ER today. Yeah, we're not doing that. So that's not how that's going to happen today, folks. Smash down as tight as you can. I can see it's going to seat here and it's going to fight here. I see that already. But that's what we got. That's what we're working with. And we can also, you know what? We can try this too. For shits and giggles. I highly doubt it's going to do anything, but we can try this. If this will fit, I think it will. I can see a gap right here, and I can see a gap right over here. So why don't we try to put a C-clamp right here and put some pressure on that bead right here. And you guys got to understand, I am working with a 6-gallon air compressor, okay? Not a big shop air compressor. So we have to do everything humanly possible we can think of to try to get this to go, because we don't have a lot of air volume flowing through this compressor. I'm honestly, it's just barely enough to do this particular operation. The C-clamp may be too small. Shoot, I think it's going to be, can I go any more? Yep, that's just enough. I don't need it there though, I need it like right here. Kind of snug it right there and see if that helps. Yeah, I'm watching the bead tighten up as I'm doing this. All right, can we get another little snick with that? Yes, we can. Can we get another one? Oh, yeah, we can. Looks like maybe right here will be a problem spot right here. So let's do something else real quick. And let's take and get us out of the sink here. Just a little bit of warm soapy water. We use the silicone-based lubricant. That's probably better than soap. Probably, I don't know. But what I'm doing with this, I'm gonna, and I got this little thing here, and we're gonna, once we're seating it, we'll drop it on there so we can see where our trouble spots are if we've got to move a clamp in a different position. There is no valve core in here. There needs to be one in here. Unfortunately, what I have right here, you have to have a valve core for this to work. And you know, we described that yesterday. We've got what we need to do this kind of stuff, and that's what we've got to work with. So we have to work with it. That's what we got. And I am in a position in life, if I really wanted all the best equipment, I could do it. But as far as the YouTube stuff goes, I'll teach you guys that, excuse me, you can do this with what you got. Let's see what we got. Nope, it's not working out the way I'd like it to, so let's just regroup for a second here. See where we're at. Down here, this spot here doesn't kind of want to do what we want it to do. So we're going to regroup and think about this for a second. And I think we're probably going to end up warming that up a little more. We're going to try that first. When I pulled the cardboard out, you could see this section of tire is kind of mashed in. It's just kind of how it deformed from shipping. I think we're going to have to warm this up a little. And then we're going to retighten this. Maybe slide this around more to here. Let's try that first. Something like that. Right there. You can see the low spots right there. So slide that around there like such. Try to get this centered. I have a backup plan. Like I said, if I cannot get this, I will just take it to work Monday where there is a much more powerful compressor. that will help in this process. We got her mashed down a little better there. Let's go ahead and warm this up. And my clamp is sliding on the warm tire. That's not what I want to see. We really need that to be down over the center. All right, start over. Name of the game here. Name of the game here is patience. I don't like that. I don't want that centered. A little difficult to do this on such a skinnier tire, but on a regular spoked rim with tubes, this will be much easier, obviously, but at the same time, that can be difficult because although you do not need to seat a bead on a tube tire, you do have to get the tire installed without pinching the tube or putting any damage or marks in the tube, and that can be difficult. Pardon me. Fake beans are talking back. Looking like it might want to leak right here. Can we maybe sneak a C-clamp over it right here and apply just a tickle of pressure right here? Not much, just a tickle. That just might do what we need it to do. A little bit of soapy water so we can see where the air is escaping. All right, let's try this again. Oh, God be with me. God be with me on this. Come on, baby. Pop a bead for me, come on. Option B is going to be running up to the house and grabbing another one of these and trying to put the flat spot on this, push us down really hard there. If I could get a wide spot to push right on here, I feel like we could get it. C-clamps are not, they're giving me one pinch point, but not enough to do what I need. I have an idea. Let's try this. Well, that'll be enough. Let's try this little piece of wood. It's Harley Davidson. I made these to do a different job. I needed a little bit of spacer to get a bike on a lift, and me and my buddy, this was in a live a while ago. There was no audio in the live, unfortunately. Me and my buddy were joking. He's like, "That's a Harley Davidson. It's an accessory." I'm like, "It sure is. Check it out." I wrote Harley on it. Okay, that's going to give a wider, flatter push down in the area where I need it. Maybe that will. Yeah, see how that's kind of tweaking that tire the way I want it to go? Maybe that'll be just enough. Over here, we're seating pretty good. It's just right through here. Give that a shot. And you know what? I have another chunk of wood laying here somewhere. It's pretty close to that size. Of course, it has a nail in it. And no, we're not going to do that. All right, let's just crank the hell out of it. And then maybe just a C-clamp right here. Right here. That might give us just what we need to make this sucker seal. This tire's softer and I'll get up now. Can we get another crank out of this guy? It'd be nice if we could, because that'll help. Ah, did you see all the bubbles coming out of there? That might be what we needed to get this to seal, maybe. If not, there's the backup plan, and that's drag this thing into work with me and have the guy do it when he's done with his work shift. Come on, man. Okay, that is not being very productive for me, so let's try something different, because that's just not going to do what I want it to do, unfortunately. You can see back here we're just about seated, and right here this needs to flop over. Oh, cripes, down here it's really boogered too. All right, let's give this a try. Take that whole shit and caboodle and bounce. You gotta flop it where it needs to go. It kind of helped. Yeah, the underneath was way under the bead, and you could see it way under the bead. Take maybe a hammer and smack it here. See what's happening? Okay. That needs to ride up over that. And that is the worst section of it. Down here, it's just about seated, but up here, this section of the tire is really deformulated from shipping. Sadly, they had cardboard inside its stuff, but this section didn't. And from shipping, it's done that to it, and that's not good. Get a better view of what I'm fighting right now. Here, if we can tickle that a little with a hammer, and maybe smack it there with a hammer. Maybe we can flop it over. We can try that. It's either that or you got to hit it with something that has enough wind to bloop. And the particular tire filling mechanism I have requires that you have the valve core in it, which severely cuts back the amount of airflow. And you're only going to get so much airflow out of that little compressor. So we gotta work around that, sort of. Yeah, because that's down inside the bead. That's not conductive of what we need it to do. Bugger. I wonder if we put the clampy on that side and just this here and mashed it from that side over, which will allow this to expand. That might help. We can try that. The name of the game is don't give up, keep trying. Like I said, we got a plan B. I can take this to work where there's a super ass 100-gallon, big time truck shop compressor. And we also have what is called a cheater tank, which is, some folks call it a boom can. Folks call it a boom can. I call it a cheater tank. Cranks up a full 150 pounds of air pressure and blasts it poop, all at once. So you can put it on the edge and just open the dump valve and poop. It expands the tire out to where it needs to be. This is not a truck shop. This is a small ass little, I'm doing this myself, motorcycle shop in my backyard. So we don't have items like that. We have what we have, and we make things work because it's fun. Okay, let's get this opened up. Can we get you to do what you're supposed to do, please? A little more like that. Like I said, I'm sure there's someone in the comments screaming at me to just put ether in it, starting fluid, and let it go. And I'm not even going to read the comments. I'm going to tell you right now, we are not doing that inside my garage. We're not. I have seen that go wrong. I will not be doing that inside my garage. Okay. So if you're one of the guys in the comments that keep saying that, I'm not reading the comments right now. I'm working, but if you're one of the guys in the comments that keep saying that, you can just keep saying that, because I promise you that's just not going to happen. I will take this to work and use a cheater can on it before I even think about creating a dangerous situation in my garage and possibly hurting myself. Plain and simple, my compressor just does not have enough volume to do this. That's all there is to it. Let me do that from the other side. The rotor's in the way. Yeah. Can we get like maybe one more crank out of this? Maybe two. I think I just broke it. Oh, it looks a little better. Let's see what it does. Filled up. Try something else here. Oh, here we go. Here. Filled up again. Okay. All right, bear with me. Let me run up to the house for a couple minutes. I'm gonna grab another strap. If I could safely bounce it with air on, I would. It's just not quite possible. I am going to grab another ratchet strap. I will return in about 3 minutes. Bear with me, folks. I'll grab another ratchet strap and maybe that'll help. miss me. Let's regroup for a second here. How long we've been live for? We're running out of battery real soon. And then we'll have to either lose the mic, which will cut all audio, or we'll have to put you guys on the other phone that I have down here. We're going to try something a little different. The flat spot on this kind of pushes in more, but here's the problem. You see down in there? That's not even beginning to push up over the bead. I can put all the pressure I want on it. The more pressure I put here, the harder that's going to be to pop itself over. So ideally, to use at work, the cheater can, you would sit it right here and pull the trigger, and it'll blow 150 pounds of air pressure now, and that'll flop it open and where it needs to be, and you won't need these straps. But I think if we put pressure here, we're going to push that harder onto the bead. See what I'm saying? And that's going to make it not want to pop over the way it needs to. So let's try this. Where did I put my can of lube? Let's add a crap ton of lube right here on both sides. Okay, and maybe that'll help make that slippery enough. Okay. And let's get this oriented to where it kind of pushes maybe right here. Yeah, we're going to have to do it something like this. Okay, we'll try that. And we will see how that goes. And like I said, we're just going to keep trying. We run out of battery on the phone, then we'll shut her down. But, well, I still got battery. I still got you guys with me live. And I don't have anything else to do. We can mess with this a little more. We can maybe fire up the other phone, show you how to properly adjust the tension on the belt. But in the Harley-Davidson manual, it recommends that you set your belt tension with the bike sitting on the ground and on the side stand, which obviously you can't do till we get a front tire on it. So that's the name of that tune, folks. We're just going to fight this guy until we win. Or until we give up and hit it with heavy artillery, which can't really happen until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow. And well, you guys are kind of not going to see it because I'm not sure if my boss is cool with me filming in his shop. He might be, but I don't think they will be. Nor do I know if the fellow that would help me do this would be okay with being on film. He's a young dude, he might, but you will just see the thing done tomorrow. If I go live tomorrow. YouTube, this is a side gig for me, and if you're watching me and you're not subscribed, dude, please, what are you doing? Subscribe. Costs you nothing. Helps my channel. I have a day job, and I don't start and finish at the same time every day. I start when I start, which is, 4:30 to 5 in the morning, and my day doesn't end until my work is finished. Sometimes if I'm working on the weekend in my garage, I don't get to do any other work sometimes until the next weekend. That's why some of these projects are taking a long time to make happen. All right, that's a little better, huh? Maybe that will help. That extra tie strap right there. gonna have to get a little tighter than that probably. These things are sometimes a devil to deal with because they want to get all messed up on top of themselves. It looks like it's going to leak down here on the bottom. Looks like that's where our next issue is going to be. Like I just moved it from there to here, but let's hit it with some air and see what we got. Crank the pressure up a little more and see if we can maybe make this happen. Well, we can try this. I don't think this is going to do it, but we can try this. Some weight on it this way. Ain't gonna work. Fuck you. Ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. That sucks. Yeah, that sucks. Bad. If I can get under here, maybe I can pry it up. No. Can I shift it over the other direction? No. Oh, that's definitely what's happening here. Yeah, that sucks. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna have to take this to work, and I don't want to do that, but I don't have an option. What I have here is just not, my compressor is just not strong enough to plop these out where they need to be. It's just not going to work, guys. That sucks. God. Damn it, dude. Now you can see what's happening. This is pushed down inside. Like I need to be able to hit this with something that has a ton of wind pressure to pop it open. And I don't have any way of doing that here. I need what's called a cheater tank or a boom can, whatever you want to call it. We are not going to put starting fluid in this tire. Only thing we could possibly do, I don't warm the hell out of it. And from shipping, the tire's deformed down inside here. And you can see it's soft. I mean, even if I heat it up more, it's still not gonna. really do what I need. Try to think of any other way I can do this. This is about fully seated all around here. It's just when you come to this section where the tires deform down in, it needs to pop out over that ridge. And it just doesn't want to do it. And the shitty part is, and unfortunately, it's where the tire has to be, but it's right where the air is going in. Okay, if the air could go in over here, that would help push it around, but it's just not. There's no real feasible way of doing this. Aside from trying to warm the hell out of the tire, that's about my last option, is just heat the shit out of this tire and maybe make it more pliable. Maybe if I clamp on it harder down here, that'll move it that way. I doubt it. We haven't tried that move. We can try that move. How many of y'all are up in the chat? 26 of y'all watching. Man, I don't want to give up. I really don't, but I really don't have another option. I've used every trick in the book that I got. Well, that's definitely warm. What you're doing by squeezing it here with the clamp, it helps to a point, but at the same time, you're pushing that bead together and not allowing the tire to slide over, which is what needs to happen for this to seat. What I need is something super powerful, a whole bunch of wind, and man, I just don't have it. Let me see something though. Can I get this guy in here? Yeah, I definitely couldn't get it to seal right. If I could take the core out, mash that guy in there, which, see, that here is going to kind of put the hamper on that. Because in order for this to work, it has to have the freaking valve core in the tire. Can we try something retarded that might work? Can we try something dumb that just might work? Can we blast it here with this? Crank it up all the way. Feed her all the onions. No, 120 is all you're going to get. All right. Can we try this? This might work. But essentially, that's what your cheater tank does. It blows air so hard that it bloop, pops her full. What if we took out the valve core and tried to jam that nozzle? There's just not enough room for that to fit and seal. If I could get that sucker to fit up in there and seal, I think that method might actually do it. The problem is this is a little too long to fit and totally seal, but it's rubber on the tip. Maybe this will do something for us. Yeah, it'll break. Took that rubber tip right off of there. Yep, that's exactly what that'll do. It broke it. Nope. In about every freaking C-clamp, maybe. Well, I don't like doing this. This is not really the best idea because it's defeating the purpose by pushing down. But if I use all 3 C-clamps, to kind of this is like last ditch effort stuff because I simply refuse to give up. But I think I'm probably going to have to unfortunately give up here because we're just not going to get this with the dinky little compressor that I have. It just doesn't have enough volume. And that's very unfortunate. Yeah, it mashes it down like that. But that's creating the problem further along there and doing the same thing. It's just not gonna. And you folks just watched me try with 2 ratchet straps. That method is not going to get the job done. It's just not. If I thought that would work, I would have did it. It's not going to work that way. Loosen this up. Let's maybe try this over here. A little better. Put my stomach against it like that. Give her one of them, maybe. You know, is that like what we're talking about? Maybe trying to do. Can we like Okay, go against here. Nope, that clamp's gonna fall off. No, I'm definitely not gonna work out the way I want it. And you can see from underneath, it's just not, dude, there's nothing I can do that's gonna make this work. Nothing I have here is going to do this. The tire is deformed, and it needs a high volume of air to come in at it right here and flop it open, and I don't really have any way of getting it. I wonder if we're bouncing off the floor this way, can we get it to seat better? Keep working it like that. Well, I think if anything, that made that gap worse. The shitty part is that's right where the air goes in, so it's just not gonna do it unless you have a super high volume of air. Damn it. Let's try this. Sit on this motherfucker. Oh, that's right. You took the freaking core out. Where did you? God only knows. Get a new one. I'm going to use one. We don't really have that option, do we? Stick a new valve core in it. I don't know, whatever. Like we'll try that. Like maybe I don't think it's not the problem is where the tire needs to flop out is where the air is coming in. Now if I on it over here, that's fine, but you need to have that red spot close to the valve stem in order to have pretty close to some sort of a balanced tire. And we're not balancing these, we're doing this in a garage, so we really don't want to do that and have her wonky going down the road. It's not ideal, and it's not what we want to try to do. Just dumb as this sounds, let's just try it. Sit on the goddamn thing like this. Nope. Not at all. God damn it. Oh, that sucks. And you are killing me. You are absolutely killing me here, man. it started to want to go, and I can't. There's just not enough volume in the compressor. Let's try pushing hard back here with this, right? So we'll go on the opposite side, put all our pressure back here, which will still snug this so that it touches down and makes some kind of contact, but it shouldn't be enough that it fights the way it's been fighting. Let's try that one more time, and that might be the last ditch effort that I got, but it's my last mental idea that I have that may possibly get this to work. Yesterday, I think I just got lucky, man, and decided, okay, we're going to work. You know, that's quite possible what happened yesterday. Today, we are in a fight for our lives to seek this bead. Thank God I'm not like stranded somewhere and no way to get out and whatever. If my life depended on this, I'd be screwed right now, wouldn't I? If I needed this to get to work tomorrow, I'd be walking, wouldn't I? Thank God I don't. I got 2 cars, 3 motorcycles. I get to work if I need to get to work, but it's not the case here. This just needs to do what it needs to do. This might be the way to go because we're putting heavy pressure here that's going to allow that to kind of go up a little more. I feel like because we had it clamped there, we're clamping down too hard and not allowing the pressure down. This needs to come over the bead. So we're putting all that pressure down. It's too much pressure for it to come over. So maybe if we put our heavy clamping force on the other side. Science and shit, right? Science and shit. I still don't think that's going to do anything. Because, man, it's got so far to go. This side looks okay. This side's the one that's going to be tough. All right. Last ditch effort. Let's give her a shot. I'm still live. My battery dead yet. It should be dead by now. Your 15-year-old could have changed it and been on another one. Well, dude, Dave Guetta, send your 15-year-old over here and give me a goddamn hand. You know, send him over here. Take a ride to a strap and wrap all the way around the tower in the middle. Tighten it as much as you can and hook the air to it. To strap and wrap. All right, I think I see what you're trying to tell me. Yeah, I did this. If you're just joining in, buddy, I did this already, and it's not going to happen. We had 2 straps on here. We had C-clamps on her. We did everything but the ether trip. The problem is, in shipping, this tire is a little deformed, okay? This side here is squeezed in down on the bead. And if you try to squeeze it in harder so that it seals, nada, okay? What we're working with this crappy compressor, you have to have a valve core to get air out of there. I don't have a good setup for that. I have a 6-gallon pancake compressor. I don't have enough air volume to pop this on the bead. I'm fighting with it because I have nothing else to do on a Sunday. I work driving a truck inside of a steel mill. Our shop has everything we need to change truck tires. I don't do it because now we have guys to do it, but I've changed more truck tires in my day than I care to remember. So if I had a boom can or cheetah tank, whatever you want to call it, that we have at the shop, Bead seated instantly. Or if I have a proper air compressor or a 100-gallon tank that I can just seat it instantly. I'm working with what you're actually done. I did do a rear the same way. This one is just funny, is what it is. Yeah, dude, if your 15-year-old could have two of them done. Listen, man, I'm near Pittsburgh. I'm 20 minutes out of the way. Send him down here, dude. I'll pay him to change tires. Please. Yep, nope. Nope. It's just not going to happen, dude. My compressor just doesn't have enough volume to do this. Although we did get it to kind of a little bit closer there. Right here, we still got a problem. We can try a second tie strap, but honestly, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to have to throw in the towel. I'm just going to have to take it to work. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, dude. I'm aggravated. I gotta take a second here and regroup. Let my mind chill out because, man, I'm aggravated. I was able to get one yesterday, and today, just not wanting to cooperate. Like, we put a second tie wrap over here. You know, something like that, maybe. We could try that. You can only do so much, and sometimes you just don't have, you know, what you need to do what you want to do. And this is one of the times. I mean, I could fight and fight and fight. But at the end of the day, I simply do not have a compressor that is quite strong enough to do this. I simply don't. And that sucks. That's quite unfortunate. We gave it absolute hell. You can't fault a man for... You can't say I did not try. And I am still going to continue to fucking try because I don't like to give up. I am hard-headed. I am definitely one hard-headed son of a basket, that's for sure. I am hard-headed as they come. If I want something to happen many, many times, I will fight it hard enough until it happens. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to lose this battle, which sucks. Kind of bad, but let's see. Maybe, just maybe, if we scooch this around like here, try putting it there. Let me try this here. Second ratchet strap. What are we doing there? Ah, golly gee, it's pretty damn close. I have right here, I have one little gap. I don't have a third ratchet strap. I have one little gap right there. Do something retarded and see if it, I don't think it's going to do it, but let's try this. I don't think this is going to work, but let's try this, dude. Why not? Oh, you know what? Where's the big clamp? We use the big clamp. We use that block of wood. That will give us a more smush area, you know what I'm saying? This is the last ditch effort. Like I said, I simply don't have a big enough compressor to do this, and I absolutely refuse to do the ether thing. If it were nice enough outside to go outside and do that, I'll do it. I'm not doing it inside my garage. We're just not, dude. You have no idea. I've been here. Let's see. We got 9, right? Moved in end of August. We're just going to say September 9. I've been here 5 months. And I really like this place. I like this house and the shop. I'm not doing something dangerous with fire in this place. I'm not. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not. I don't care. I will take this to work and do it that way before I do something potentially dangerous. You feel? All right. If I can get that squeezed with my hand tight enough, I might have another block of wood really that'll set down in there. Maybe this one will, if there's not a nail. Dang it. Could we do that? I don't think we're going to fit the clamp. Well, you can get on the edge of the tire with it. Could we try that? So kind of maybe, am I gonna maybe apply any pressure? More so than I could apply with just my fist. All right. Yeah, we can try that. I don't think it's gonna work. I think we're dead in the water and we have to take it to work and do it at the shop. I think that's how we have to do this. Done. That's all we can do. Sorry. It worked yesterday. I was able to get one yesterday, but my compressor does not have enough ass to do this. I gave it hell. I don't like to give up on things ever, but when you are losing a battle and it is blatantly obvious that you're losing, to continue doing the same thing over and over is the true mark of insanity. So sadly, we got to throw in the towel on this guy. We just do. Is what the fuck it is, unfortunately. Pardon my language, but I will just take this to work with me tomorrow. And at the end of the shift, we will use the proper shit for a stubborn bead, which will be a cheater tank and an actual compressor that has enough ass to. You hit this with a cheater tank, it'll blow right on. I promise you. Yep. You see what's happening right where the air is coming in. Okay, both ends of the tire are wedged down inside the V, and there's not enough air for my dinky compressor to flop that out and over. There's just not. The air chuck I have requires you to have a valve core in there as well. So the ones we got at work, you know, you can screw it on there and hit the valve and dump full, you know, high flow at it. So either that, or if I absolutely have to, put a cheater can to it, and this will easily going to happen, sadly, with what I have here. I thought squeeze it and do whatever and try to make it work. We've heated it. We've done the ratchet strap trick. We have done every goddamn trick in the book. I've even put a ratchet strap right here at the trouble spot and mashed it all the way down. All you're doing is creating another bubble somewhere else where it's not holding pressure and it's not going to seat. So sadly, we have to give up on this. We just, there's no way around it. It's going to have to go to my job and get dealt with there, unfortunately. I don't really kind of see any other way. Try to manipulate it by hand a little bit. Yeah, see, that's all over the bead, and then right here it wants to get stupid. I wonder if I can get this side down inside the V like that. All right. Okay, I wonder if we can do that. Can we get this to do that? Massage it in. Will that allow this side to come up? Probably not. You're fighting a losing battle, man. All right, yeah. Sorry. It is what it is, dude. You can't get them every time. So that's the end of this live. I'm done fighting with this. I am just going to take it to where I work, and they've got the proper stuff to flop that on the bead, and it is what it is. I'm highly pissed off at that because, as you see, we got the rear one yesterday. You know, I'm out to prove a point by doing this, that you can do this yourself. We got one, so that's a score. Shinko tires won, me nothing. And yeah, like this big bastard and this bike here, Normally, just ride it to a damn Harley shop. It costs you 50 to $100 more per tire. They wash your bike for you and everything else. You hang out there. I'm trying to do this old school in my garage, and this is normally something I don't do. When I was a kid and was broke with no money, yeah, we changed our dirt bike tires ourselves, but it is what it is. So, well, Project Sportster beater bike is gonna have to sit for a little while. Right on. Can't win every battle. Thanks for watching. Kevin6154. No, Phoenix Motorsports now. I forgot we changed the name of the channel. Yeah. We make old motorcycles rise from the ashes and ride here. We do this old school. If I can do this, you can do this. You know, as you can see, we're not crazy with the tools. We got Harbor Freight stuff. We got some specialty tools that you need for Harley Davidson in the bottom. I work on all manner of bikes, and yeah, do my thing. I have a day job. I do this in my spare time because I have fun doing it, except when a tire won't see the bead. I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for watching.